guys, Jen with Astrology here. Welcome back to the channel. So today we are talking about two huge conjunctions that are happening this month that are pretty much going to be the start of change in the way we live life as we know it. So these are coming hot off the heels of that solar eclipse, that huge solar eclipse here in the United States that went right through the middle of the United States, pretty much dividing it. Hopefully it will more unite us than divide us. But it's that initiation, that's that new moon energy of starting, planting that seed, starting something big. Lot going on with all these conjunctions in the chart of the United States. So first starting with yesterday on April 10th, we had that exact conjunction of Mars and Saturn in Pisces. So that's the meeting of the malefics, two of the malefic planets, the more negative planets coming together. So keep in mind, just because that happened yesterday doesn't make it over. It is just the beginning of a new cycle. It's a beginning of a new Mars-Saturn cycle. So just like the new moon, when they come together, they start that new cycle. So the Mars-Saturn cycle is a 2-year cycle. The next meeting or end of the cycle that we just started yesterday is normally in the next following sign. So once this cycle is complete, which will be on April 19th, 2026, it's going to be in Aries, so the next sign up. So Pisces now, then next it will be Aries. So again, this is building, this is kind of completing something before we can initiate something. It's in the mutable sign of Pisces. It's going to move into that initiative sign of Aries and at the 7-degree mark. So, what are we finishing up? What do we have to tie up to go ahead and move forward with these huge changes that are on the horizon? So, of course, the new cycle that began with the solar eclipse, that new moon in Aries, so that's that, kind of, and with the Mercury retrograde, we're kind of going back. We're trying to fix things, maybe even going back to something in the past, reworking it, fixing it to change, again, the way that we live on a day-to-day basis. We also have the Jupiter Uranus conjunction that begins their new cycle. So that's an eclipse, both malefics, one benefic, and an outer planet, all very impactful. Just to see how much you want to see how this is going to affect you on a personal level. Get your chart up, check what you have in these major places. Aries, 19 degrees, Pisces, about 14 degrees, and Taurus, about 21 degrees. And if you have, if you need a chart, feel free to contact me, astrology@gmail.com, or check it out on astro.com. Use your date of birth, place, and time. So let's start with the Mars-Saturn meeting of the malefics in Pisces. So just because they're both malefics doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Mars is about action, and Saturn is about kind of making Mars kind of grow up a little bit. Saturn is wanting Mars to, plan out things a little bit better, stop being so rash. It's about kind of quality over quantity, and focus is what is the key to success. Focus on, what we need to work on, what are our weaknesses, and this conjunction points out our weaknesses. Pisces has a tendency to make Mars more passive. So Mars is a little bit calmer, not quite so brash, so aggressive. It's got a little bit lower energy here in Pisces, less bold, less motivated. Saturn in Pisces, it looks for weaknesses and it needs to reconstruct them. Saturn is about building a good foundation and building up that barrier and saying, no, we're not moving forward until this is fixed. So we need to look back, that Mercury retrograde. What do we need to build on? What do we need to fix, strengthen in ourselves as a society, as a nation, as a whole world, in order to get this project or idea that we're having off, and start taking off. So on a personal level, Mars and Saturn conjunct encourages us to go about things again in a mature manner. So pinpointing the weak link before we impulsively initiate things, because that's what Mars likes to do. It likes to be impulsive. But Saturn is putting that block. It's putting that stop on that. We might feel a little stifled. We might feel a little bit, kind of depressed almost, that we can't move ahead. A lot of us, I know, are feeling that. I'm hearing that coming from all over the place. Are you feeling that, Bean? So with the new cycle in Aries, we, with that new moon cycle, we focus on fixing that stable, unstable foundation, because this is in Pisces, so that is that instability there, so that we can build upon that with confidence. So, Pisces, it's that mutable kind of energy, that watery, you can't really build on that. So you have to fix what is weak. You have to fix that weakness. This work can be inward, focusing on our personal weaknesses, our maybe addictions, our illusions of grandeur, our delusions, our those Piscean things that make us like not really think things through, that just like kind of in that la-la world, like just excited for things. But Saturn really kind of, gets our mind out of the clouds and pulls us back down to reality. Mundanely, on a worldwide, nationwide, we look at it differently. So Mars is the action that's hitting a wall. That's also on a personal level. So we might feel like we are hitting a wall as we're trying to get things going. Crashes, conflicts. So, crashes in lots of different ways. With all these new energies coming together, there's conflicts, barriers, borders, conflicts in the water. So this is like them coming together, this conflict. Mars wants to progress, Saturn wants to stop it. It's in Pisces, in water. So I wouldn't be surprised at seeing, some military stuff taking place in, seas and in waters. It's that action hitting the reaction. That is Saturn. So in the U.S. chart, this all takes place in the 4th house. Well, this conjunction takes place in the 4th house. That's our homeland, our property, our infrastructure. So, for example, our weakness is in our infrastructure, to an extent. We saw that with the bridge collapse. We see that with our borders. We have, weakness at our borders with, people coming in, that aren't being fully vetted, just make sure they're all, safe, and they're going to, boost our culture instead of maybe harm it. So, it's really, this is really pointing out our weaknesses, and I think that we're all seeing this. We're all seeing the problems that are happening at the border. We're seeing that, this, military starting to ramp up. I just read something that there is an inevitable strike against United States, I think, embassies in Iraq. Well, Iraq is, I think it's actually Iran. I can't remember. But anyway, they're, really threatening, and they said it's imminent that something is going to happen. So we see that tension building here. We see that, putting that wall up, and Mars wants to just attack. It's kind of, this whole kind of conjunction reminds me of the Tower card in tarot, where it has that weak foundation. It's being attacked from all angles. So if you think about the United States, where they are right now, we have that kind of weak infrastructure. We have, bridges that, need to be fixed. We have, even, airlines that are having trouble. We have, train crashes. We just had an earthquake here in New England. So it's starting to show that border security, our weaknesses. So we need to protect that homeland, because we're getting attacked from people coming in, through the border, people coming in on different countries that, maybe don't agree with the way we do. People within our own country that just don't like the way the other side is thinking. So we have the inside attacks, outside attacks from everything, just like the Tower card. So Aries, put things into action, cresting this cycle. It's going to crest in August of 2025, completing in, again, April of 2026. So this is going to come to a head in 2025, where we really need to know like how we're going to move forward, and then we are going to start probably moving forward in this new way. So this coinciding with the eclipse is especially important to set off that good footing to have positive results, because if you don't have a good plan, you're not going to have positive results. So now let's talk about that Jupiter Uranus conjunction at 21 degrees. Okay, Bean, I think you're going to have to get down. He wants to pull my shirt. At 21 degrees Taurus on April 20th. So as this forms, we might have a little bit higher anxiety. Uranus is connected to like electricity, so we might feel like a little bit, overstimulated, like we've had 4 cups of coffee, but we really haven't had any. This one starts an earthy cycle of revelations, innovations, upheavals, the unexpected, those earthy Taurusy themes, and also in the way we think, the things that we are grown and learned, and these are our, this is Jupiter, this is things we are taught, things that, are our moral, compass, might be totally changed, and just something's exposed. So this is food prices. Taurus rules food, rules money. So food prices, a lot of that's going to be going up. Inflation is going to continue to rise. Prices continuing to rise. The cost of housing and things that are already kind of so far up are expected to continue rising. Some even of these things are going to be unexpected and sudden rises. We also, on a more positive thought of this aspect, we have innovations. So it's very, this new way of thinking, the start of these great inventions, innovations in maybe currencies, Taurusy things, crypto, online, virtual, maybe even a worldwide currency, perhaps something that will slowly be implemented. This is a 14-year cycle with this Jupiter-Uranus cycle, so it might take a little bit for it to build. So in 14 years, it's going to be to 2037. This is going to they're going to reconnect in Cancer. So, Jupiter, it's about foreign countries. Maybe it's about how we, interact with foreign countries, how we our trade with foreign countries. This is our commerce. This is Taurus, like our trading, our products, the things that we need and use and buy on a daily basis. Uranus is technology. Taurus finances, money, and along with Pluto going into into Aquarius, which its modern ruler is Uranus, so that just makes Uranus that just a little bit extra relevant, and just a little bit, more, pinpointed on, all eyes on that, all eyes on change. So this could mean completely getting rid of the old, and then that Uranus change, abrupt disruption in money, banking. I would not be surprised if something like that. Housing markets, stock markets, things like that could be crashing, things we own. For the U.S., this could again affect trade with other companies, as it's happening in the 6th house of the United States. It is the health of our nation. So all of this, again, off this eclipse in Aries, it signifies major changes on the horizon. So there will be changes in everyday life, I think, for all of us here in the U.S., and that then, of course, will filter out throughout the world, because, we're such a powerful country that it does kind of, get things going around the world as well. Work, our everyday work, the way that we work, trade with other countries, and just our health in general, all that 6th house stuff. So, the working from home has changed. They're talking about 4-day weeks, or it could be anything. We just don't know. So also, this is going to affect the ethics of society. This is Jupiter. So this is like that kind of that higher power, the things that we're taught, the things that we've learned, the things that, that spiritualness, that higher learning that we learn in, colleges and universities. So you can't, so it also, represents judges, lawyers, religious leaders, professors. That's Jupiter stuff. So all that, we might see things in a different light the way we used to. And we already see, just a lot of things, cracks going on. We saw that in the, what was happening at Harvard and the Pennsylvania College, that, that they were doing something one way, and there's cracks everywhere. We look at those ethics and we think, maybe the things that we've thought all this time really aren't what it should be. So it kind of makes us sit back and rethink. So again, it's tying all this together. So, wanting to move forward, but Saturn is making you stop and look back and saying, okay, well, wait a minute, and then we're going to move forward. And then we need to, create this change, to make this change, to accept it, to be ready, more morally ready, physically ready, spiritually ready to move forward with it. So, we're going to be seeing that with, innovations, scientific breakthroughs, could be, space exploration. Maybe they'll, who knows? Things that we never expected that ever could happen might be happening. Those things that you see on sci-fi movies that I remember watching back in the 80s, the Demolition Man, the 2001 Space Odyssey. Those things that didn't seem realistic are actually starting to come to fruition. The way, people were dating, is that going to change? Because that's all online now. The way we communicate, is it going to be virtual? Is it going to be, so many things are changing right now. So expect more of that to be happening, especially with Pluto going through Aquarius for the next 20 years. And again, even with transportation, how we get the news, the internet, finding out what we once thought was trustworthy, maybe isn't really as trustworthy. So, and that's, Pluto there in the 3rd house of the United States. The moon will also be trying Pluto when all this goes down. So that's floodgates bursting open, things coming out that we cannot unknow, that we cannot unsee. It might be difficult at first to believe it, to fathom it, to understand it. But I think as a collective, we can be better as we rise out of those ashes, that Pluto, that dying and then rising from the ashes. So getting rid of the old ways we think, the old things we believed, and maybe rising as a new collective. So also the moon is going to be trying the Jupiter Uranus conjunction. So that's our learning, our understanding. It can completely change our whole belief system. What we once thought, our past convictions, what we thought was important, can abruptly change. Our old wants, needs, those lunar things, what we feel that we need to make us happy might be different than what we feel that we need to make us happy in the future. So, of course, that Jupiter Uranus conjunction, I think there's going to be a lot of earth-shattering knowledge coming out, those realizations, those shocking things about. I think a lot of people in power with that Pluto are going to be kind of exposed and brought out and then kind of be taken down. So I think it's going to be an exciting time. I think it's a great time to really start paying attention. Watch all different kinds of newses. So if you're normally one that watches news on this channel, try it on all different channels to try and see all sides. You want to get all the information you can. Again, build on that foundation, get all the information that you can before you make a decision, before you make a plan, because you want to have that good foundation so that you can fight off those attackers that want to attack you for maybe you don't feel like you're good enough, maybe you don't feel like you're smart enough, maybe you don't feel like you have what it takes to move forward. Well, that's what you have to build upon to gain that confidence, to gain that that Saturn maturity to be able to move forward. So that is about all. Be sure to subscribe and please leave your comments. I'd Love to hear what you have to say and whatever your predictions are for what you think might be happening. Tell a friend about the channel so that we can all grow, change, and navigate the future together. So I will see y'all soon. Peace.